But I find it very interesting. I'm sure you thought the same thing, as most smart people did. The signing of Amile Jefferson is one where you're like, well, sounds like they're just trying to make Jayson Tatum happy and just trying to sign his buddy, much like, you had the Lakers signing KCP a year or two before LeBron gets to be a free agent so they can, get some clutch clients, some clutch money. Is this a signing, in your opinion, that's like, oh, they're only doing this to make Jayson Tatum happy? Or do you think Amile Jefferson actually brings something to the table? Because I actually felt bad for Amile Jefferson at Duke because he was a hugely touted prospect. Yeah. They just kept getting buried by the Marvin Bagleys of the world, that they would the next guy coming in that would be a higher rated recruit than Amile. Is there anything to Amile's game? Because I know Weiss wrote a piece about it. I haven't took it out yet for The Athletic about Amile's, and what he can do on the floor. But to me, I have a very hard time seeing him playing anything at all for the Celtics this year. Maybe in Maine, but not in Boston.
Yeah, I mean, first off, the layout of Tatum quote tweeting a Amile Jefferson highlight saying just sign him, and then 5 days later having the Celtics actually pick him up on a non-guaranteed deal was hilarious. Your 22-year-old cornerstone makes a demand, you meet it 5 days later. That was hysterical. But I think it's hard because if you look at the roster construction and you're bringing in Amile Jefferson on a non-guaranteed deal, he's essentially battling with Javonte Green for the last spot, right? And we've said it over and over again in the last half hour, the Celtics have a problem at wing depth. Like they need wings. And so it would be tough to give Amile Jefferson that spot over Javonte Green. I just don't really see that happening. That being said, Amile Jefferson isn't just some guy who's Tatum's buddy. He's a pretty good big who's a great team defender. He's got good footwork. Like, he's got some nice post moves. He's a guy who could help an NBA team for sure. It's also difficult because this year, as Jared Weiss also reported today, it's not like the Celtics could have brought him in on a deal and then send him to Maine and have him in the system and keep him with the Red Claws, because it doesn't look like the Red Claws are going to be playing this year. So it's an interesting scenario, and I have no doubt that Amile Jefferson could contribute on an NBA roster as a depth piece. I just don't really think he has a place on the Celtics roster, just because he's competing with a wing and the Celtics need wings. And I think it really could be that simple.
Was it too early to start pandering to Jayson Tatum already, or is this about the time you should start kissing
when you got a 22-year-old who plays like that, you do whatever he wants. I'm with you.
Yeah, it's a non-guaranteed spot. It's just money. Who cares? Like, whatever.